to be.
Now,
More
after
rambling.
it's weird because we'll call it in my neck of the woods, after dark means something a little different. So I don't know what's the vibe here. What's going on? What's after dark? What's
The
that?
idea was it was going to be a little different and more freewheeling, but then the main show is so freewheeling and unstructured anyway. And also, I think the first time we did it, like we started talking about Jeffrey Epstein and everyone during the main show, and then we'd run out of the After Dark content by the time we got to After Dark, so it was even tamer than the main one. So really, it's just it's like the last one, but again, and who knows where it might take us.
More freeform, less slides. You might end up arguing about. That's where the whole steak debate came. It was an after.
Right.
Yes, many hours of steak.
You just never know what's going to happen, right? And people's thoughts on that, but. Yeah, if anything, it's just room for just random discussion. That's the big thing for it.
Yeah, but whatever you want to talk about, just talk about it.
Yeah, it just, like I was mentioning offline, the fact that we're depending on Tentacle Boy or just this little sheep lad is like the only thing we have left in a show that could have been great. Because the more and more I think about this show, the more it frustrates me of watching a show get praised when we know it's fucking nonsense and it's playing with things that could have been super, super interesting. I think that's what bothers me so much more.
Is the reception to the show been like positive, or people?
Yeah. People are defending it significantly, kind of like Romulus, which is really annoying for me. Cynic, I know you want to jump in.
As soon as I saw this,
the fuck that animal? Like they should have had him in 24 hours
less than that, like 24 minutes after this happened. Should have been behind bars.
It's insane. Yeah, it's the whole Charlie Kirk assassination thing is so much more significant and impactful in terms of the culture. Yeah. So a lot of people kind of forgot about the Raja thing, but it's still disgusting. And the difference between Kirk, where we were scrambling to get the details, Raja, it's all right there. It's like literally, there's no research. Just watch the stream.
We did a whole stream on it and broke down everything this man was doing because he filmed his crime.
Yeah,
the entire crime.
An unhinged animal that belongs in a cage, and it took them 24 days to get him in one. And apparently he's already out because his bail was 50 grand.
Yeah, it was 50 grand. And they charged him with like aggravated battery or something.
No. Felony is what I heard. But the fact that he's already out makes me not really.
I know it's not like attempted murder or anything like that, though. I think it's, like aggravated battery, maybe.
Anything less than attempted murder is disgusting. He needs to be made an example out of.
Yep.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, just a quick recap. Fucking the son of a famous fighter went to a wrestling show and got hit with a can and decided to retaliate by beating this man fucking senseless, slammed him on his head unconscious. Yeah, beat him, slammed him unconscious, and then punched him in the head 23 times unanswered.
I think attempted murder is not an unreasonable charge, given the fact that it was clearly premeditated. And he live streamed it. He was talking to his chat about it.
Yeah.
And obviously this is over a misunderstanding because the other guy thought that he was like an actor for part of the show, that he was going to hit in the head with a can and stuff. And the guy apologized. But yeah, he should have the book thrown at him. This is unacceptable, barbaric behavior that shouldn't be tolerated.
And he profusely apologized several times. And the key thing is that Raja he denied the apology 2 or 3 times. And then once he found out that he was going to get an opportunity to get him back, he was jumping at the opportunity to shake his hand and accept the apology. So he accepted it the moment he knew he can get his shots back. So it's grosser than even like the details that a lot of people make it out to be. So yeah, it's just one of these things where I'm going to follow this case. And I just really hope there's an example made of him. I don't want nepotism to be the reason he slips out of this.
Yeah, fuck this guy. He's a piece of shit.
He's a monster. It's terrible, man. But it's one of those situations where a child can just destroy a parent's legacy. Not that Rampage is this model citizen, but he doesn't deserve to have his legacy and all the hard work that he went through.
He's not helping his case.
He's a fucking idiot. This is why I added that. He's a moron. Mm-hmm. He's an absolute moron. There's a reason Raja has the genes that he does. But Rampage, at the same time, too, he didn't do the act. And his legacy is fucked now because of it. But at the same time, it's hard to feel bad for him when you see how stupid he is.
This is a good question, me. But I would say the guy that Raja beat up, but Jey Uso definitely got it really bad over the weekend because that fucking idiot botched the chair shot and hit himself in the head and cracked himself open. It was just bleeding everywhere. And he gave himself a concussion. He's an absolute buffoon. I can't stand Uso.
The Raja thing, I don't even know what you're referencing, but I can just immediately pick the Raja thing. It's one of those things that's difficult to look at, even people who are desensitized to violence. Just one punch too many where it gets uncomfortable.
Yep. A couple super chats came in. TGV Monster. Hi, everyone. After dark. How's it going?
Hi. Swell.
Bonesaw is ready. Says a bit more on him. It feels like it was written over 20 years ago with the race stuff. Yeah, at most charitable. That stuff feels like it was relevant when Vic and McNabb were playing quarterback. I can agree with that. They didn't expect NFL fans to watch it. Yeah, it's so not of the time. Like, what are we fucking doing? Like the greatest quarterbacks right now are all black. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about? And that's just that position. It's like every position is the best is a black person. So why are we fucking talking about race in this movie? It's so ridiculous.
There's no self-awareness when it comes to the racial aspects that they try to incorporate into these movies, which is just frustrating, you know? Like, it's my problem with Peele and anything he touches, where the focus on politics will always damage the script or the characters in some way.
Yeah. My editor's freaking out because of that video popping off.
How's it doing? What? How good is the video right now in terms of views?
Well, we expected like 50,000 views total after a month. It's at 20,000 in 2.5 hours. So
that's excellent.
Yeah, I'm really awesome. Really happy.
Hell yeah.
But this is the thing, because you never really know if it's all about focusing on topical things, and being able to talk about a movie you really wanted to discuss and getting some reward for it is nice. That's what you want as a YouTuber, but it doesn't always work out that way, right?
Yeah.
Play the game.
It encourages me to take more risks as a YouTuber instead of doing the things that I know I want to talk about and people want to hear. And I'm like, oh, maybe if I make something that I want to talk about, people will want to hear it.
Can you pull up Skeptical Bucketman's comments? That's literally basically what you just talked about right there. Taking a risk at something that you really want to do, but at least getting a little bit of feedback from it. And like, I always like hearing something like that, where a clip or a reference makes you go check out a cool movie. And yeah, the creature from The Ritual is like one of the best creature designs you ever see.
Yeah, it is a really good design.
Peele is a race baiter. Well, I mean, we've been
we've been talking about that offline for a little while now. Peele frustrates me. I think it's incredible the reputation he has as being one of the kings of horror right now, when his movies aren't that scary, they're not that good, but they could be better if they weren't plagued by the politics that he just tries to inject into them. Like, Us has one of the weirdest, stupidest twists I've ever seen in a movie, and it's because of his hyper focus on politics, his obsession with race baiting. And like, even in Get Out, I rewatched that the other day. It's such a strange movie where even the things that you can praise about it get countered by the retarded aspects of like you if you're familiar with the movie, do you remember how the servants were a black guy and a white woman, or no, two black people, and that was kind of made it uncomfortable for him that the two servants were black
in Get Out?
Yeah.
Those
two people, which they reveal in like the last 5 minutes, are basically the grandma and grandpa. And the grandpa is the one who's in charge of the entire project. Why wouldn't he be someone who's actually respected rather than just being the help? It doesn't make sense whatsoever within the film, but they wanted them to be black slaves. So I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't have that twist and also have the racist aspect to it. So he basically wants to have his cake and eat it too when it comes to all his films. And even in the best one, it doesn't work. So just stick to Key and Peele and comedy. That's what I wish.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does anyone like Key and Peele? Because that was like that was a really popular show.
Yeah, he's a funny dude. Yeah. What happened to Key though? Holy crap, he's fallen off the face of the earth.
Just like disappeared. Yeah, that is weird. He didn't have the Jordan Peele ascendance into stardom, I guess.
Well, while Peele was getting an Oscar, Key was like doing The Predator or something, wasn't it? So like their career trajectories were just
right. I forgot he was in that.
Yeah. And what did you guys think of Nope? That was the one that was slightly interesting, at least.
I thought it was, I don't know. It was boring. I guess I just expected more.
Platoon, Rags, you remember that one?
I haven't seen it. I have not seen any of these movies by him.
Same.
No. Well, it was the one about the alien ship that operated like a shy animal or something.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember do you remember it enough to explain it, Cynic? I don't. Fucking...
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it wasn't easy, or it was easy to follow and understand. It was just boring to me. I found it, it wasn't very entertaining.
Well, that's the topic that we were mentioning that I think we can compare. That Eggers and Peele are similar in the fact that they both have 4 famous horror movies, and they are both kind of like affected by the focus of like Eggers trying to make everything as artistic as possible, and Peele's trying to inject politics into his films. They're both very controversial because of that. But which one do you think is better? Like, I think I started with like which one?
I'd much rather see an Eggers film.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning now. Where
it's not even close.
But it's an interesting discussion because there's a lot of people who think Peele is like the king of horror and think Eggers is pretentious, where I think it's the opposite. Comparing something like The Witch.
All these, aren't I?
Yeah, honestly, for the sake of discussion, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't leave you hanging. Just be like, no, Brooks, you talk about it.
I was considering it because I think their 2 styles are interesting in terms of being controversial, and I feel like their hyper focus on these certain elements they try to inject almost hinders their movies.
I don't feel like Eggers like his movies don't feel like the ones I've seen. At least they don't try to be controversial as like the goal.
Yeah,
they just can have aspects of like, oh, what do you think about this and all that, and people talk about them and actually discuss it, and there's disagreements about the artistic direction and what's going on. But I think that's but I think that's done in a good way.
I think it's significantly more effective than what Peele does, where there's just not much to discuss after his movies because it's also on the nose. You know exactly what he's trying to say midway through the movie, and then the only thing to break down really after is the plot holes and inconsistencies, where Eggers' movies have a lot more to say and for you to think about. And even the way he does exposition, like the kids in The Witch, you can really just gloss over that as little kids just, playing their games. But if you pay attention to what they're saying, they're talking about Black Phillip the entire movie. So
it's an excellent movie. It's a really awesome movie. I mean, even he did Dracula, right?
Yeah, Nosferatu. That's the one.
Nosferatu. That's one. It's like, because like I saw it at the theater and I liked it, but it's an odd one, and I think there's some issues with it, but there's a lot of things about it that I really, really liked quite a bit. So I'm always, it's not going to be difficult to get me to go and see one of his movies
and to rewatch them to really get a good understanding. Because I'm with you on Nosferatu. The rewatch is going to reveal a lot. It can go up or down. I have no idea where it's going to go.
Nosferatu for sure over Nope, 100%.
Well, you're basically saying vampire versus alien,
Yeah.
But I will go with Nosferatu.
Definitely got a soft spot for like classic horror kind of stuff, vampires and curses and werewolves and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
always quite keen on those sorts of aspects and elements and all that you can do with them.
Yeah.
Did you see what I got?
Huh?
Did you see what I had?
Slave has delivered
an uncut bagel with jelly. What is that?
This is a breakfast sandwich with 2 pieces of cheese, 2 pieces of turkey bacon, and an over hard egg.
I could hear her shackles as she approached you, clanging.
Shame the eggs overcooked, but you don't want to.
We're praying for you, Amy.
You don't want to complain to the missus. Turkey bacon is a-okay for the fact that it's quite cheap. It's not bad.
It tastes way better than it sounds. I will give you that.
It does.
Turkey bacon's pretty good. It's
no
bacon, but what is?
It's not, but it has less fat in it, which is
it's very lean, but it's tasty. Yeah, turkey bacon's pretty good. It's very affordable. Good stuff.
This one is for you, Rags, from Sparks7907. Rags, when are you going on Nick's stream? Need you on YMS?
I'm more than happy to talk about YMS and his strange opinions. Because I've been watching the YMS stuff and the Nicholas Oreo stream and the Rob's video on him. I don't know, man. Don't have sex with animals.
I'm sorry, what?
There is
I'm out of the loop on this one. Is YMS
you're gonna fill us in, animals?
Dude?
Oh, YMS has said some interesting things regarding bestiality. He said essentially, I guess the most damning thing, which is enough in and of itself, though I would recommend you check out the Rob's Media video, is he says that if it shouldn't be illegal to have sex with an animal, if you can prove that the animal wasn't harmed and was essentially going along with it. which is a controversial take, I would say, not one that I subscribe to. So yeah, he's kind of become the oddly defends sex with animals guy. And I really like to give people a fair shakedown when they talk about this stuff, because a lot of the times people are just bad communicators when they want to talk about an issue, because it's not an invalid question to necessarily ask, like, well, you eat animals and you'll slaughter them and you'll castrate them and things, so if it's okay to do those things, how come it's bad to have sex with them? Like, that's a valid question if you're actually going into it to try and suss out what your philosophical positions are and why you think one thing but not the other. Because maybe on its surface that might, he's like, oh yeah, that is weird, how come this is okay but this isn't, like, that's that sort of thing. But then you actually have to explore it and come up with answers and explain why is it okay that we do this but not not this. But I feel like he doesn't ask these questions to really try and get at some sort of a moral philosophical kind of route, but that he's kind of wanting to make it okay to have sex with animals as long as the animal isn't like a quote unquote like physically abused or whatever during it, which I think that's I don't think that's a good position to hold. I think there's plenty of reasons why you shouldn't have sex with animals, and there's plenty of reasons why we should normalize that kind of behavior. So
how do you go from like breaking down Saw and EFAP to like defending animal fucking? Like, there's a gap missing here.
He's a bit of a psycho, YMS. I mean, even without these things said, he's kind of he's a wacky guy. He's very pirate software-y, is one way to kind of describe him. He's very, very egotistical, I would say. But yeah, this ain't helping. This ain't helping. And
no, I was just eating a sandwich. It's very rare that there's a context in the conversation in which it ever seems socially acceptable to bring up. But like you say, like it's a valid form of philosophical inquiry to figure out when something is primarily forbidden by social taboo. Are there any rules underpinning the taboo that can justify the taboo, or does the taboo exist independent of the rational rules behind it? So there's Peter Singer. I think we did this, must be like my undergrad philosophy degree. Peter Singer is quite a famous utilitarian ethicist, and I think he maybe even made the same argument and encountered the same question, which is like, from his utilitarian perspective, all the arguments that you normally apply for sexual taboos, if you actually try to work out the rational underpinnings of them, which of them hold up? And it can be an interesting thought experiment, but it does quite often lead you to very strange conclusions, especially if you try to, because taboo often exists independent of like rational inquiry anyway, but there are sometimes good, if unstated, reasons behind it.
Definitely the ick factor with a lot of stuff.
But then the ick factor can quite often be indicative of something which a purely rational inquiry doesn't necessarily pick up. And Peter Singer would be one of those whose approach to be like attempt to be rationally consistent will lead him to defend infanticide as well as bestiality. At that point, what point does I'm all for people having open-ended philosophical inquiries, but when it leads you to, by the application of rationality, say that actually abortion is fine after birth, not entirely sure how socially useful your philosophical inquiry has been.
There's a lot of, and it's I'm it's, I guess it's no secret, I'm a furry guy. I go to conventions, eat ass, all that sort of stuff. I'm a weird guy when it comes to the sort of stuff I'm into, and I'm willing to take some controversial opinions when it comes to sexuality and things of that nature. Nothing that's really off the beaten path, but I guess I'm further. I guess I'm odder than most. But to hear YMS say stuff like that, I'm like, that's ooh boy. I feel like you're not asking to learn about yourself. You're like, it seems to be something he's kind of into, or he wants to normalize with the way that he talks about it, at least in certain aspects. So,
well, how has he been defending his position? Like, has he elaborated on this?
Essentially that animals have the capacity to consent to sexual acts, and as long as you're not like physically harming them, and they have, through body language and whatnot, shown that they're not necessarily against certain acts, then it should be, no one's getting hurt by it, so it should be allowed. So essentially his general position.
All right then.
Which is like,
weird,
hey man,
you can make the slightly broader extrapolation, which is that, okay, let's say in the individual act no harm is done, and so it doesn't violate, say, like Mill's harm principle, which a lot of like sexual ethics is based around. Are you violating consent? Are you causing harm? If in the individual instance you can say no, doesn't necessarily mean that the propensity to fuck an animal doesn't say something about you, which is more broadly harmful. In other words, it's a trait of your personality, which if you allow it to go unchecked without taboo, will actually make you do more harm in other perhaps unrelated means. And that's not counting for the propensity for like zoonotic diseases coming if you fuck a monkey and get AIDS or something.
Yeah, because you can eliminate those from the hypotheticals. The whole like, well, the whole incest thing that pops up every once in a while. Like, well, what's actually immoral about incest? And then you construct a scenario where it's you get rid of all of people's issues with it to construct like a perfect scenario, and you just kind of go down that route and find out what sort of like the core moral issue is with it, and you discuss it and talk about it, and ideally learn something about yourself and the way that you construct your view of the world and your construction of morality.
But what you're describing is something you can achieve when you have a story to flesh out these characters in this dynamic. This is just a quote. This is just like a stance he decides to take, and it just seems like his ability to defend it. It's kind of gross.
He seems to very enthusiastically, in terms of his efforts, defend this position. So
what the fuck?
Hill to die on is so strange. Does he give examples?
I mean, kind of. He's I don't know if he gives specific examples. I mean, it wouldn't be difficult to construct one. I guess if a man fucks a female horse, I guess you could say there's no way anyone's getting hurt by that physically. But even if we, go by that route, it's like obviously not something you should be doing, not something that is necessary for you to do in the same way that, well, we eat meat and we want to, breed animals to be healthier and stronger and things of that nature, out of certain levels of necessity. It seems to be the indulgence in a very, let's call it peculiar vice that is probably very negative if society allows it and therefore begins to encourage it, and industries spring up around facilitating it.
We get a benefit from eating animals. Like there is a benefit to it. Fucking animals doesn't do anything.
Animals have a benefit to it. I mean, it's.
Ugh.
So yeah, YMS, weird guy.
Yeah, I didn't know that about him. Now I do. While I was eating my sandwich that had
your turkey bacon,
yeah.
You want to fuck that sandwich? I bet now
you could have fucked the turkey rather than eating it, and now I bet you feel bad.
Could have stuck it right in that cloaca.
I could have. Sleepy Arcane Doggo says some people were spouting comedy is over because Kimmel was canceled, as if comedy hasn't been bland since they tried canceling Dave Chappelle. Crazy.
Yeah, it's been dead for like 10, 15 years. What are they talking about?
Comedy.
Finding out the roots of a lot of people's hypocrisy has been something that's been going on a lot lately with what people celebrate and what they're willing to do. And now that the shoe's on the other foot, how do they react? Yeah. You're gonna learn a lot. You've been learning a lot from about a lot of people lately. I certainly have been.
Yeah, my favorite meme is the one
fire flip as well. Like how quickly, within the space of basically a couple of weeks, a load of people's positions, like both sides of the political spectrum, have just completely flipped. So now it's like the free speech warriors are saying no, cancel culture is good actually, and then the people who were behind cancel culture said no, actually free speech is important. Like, I can't actually keep up with you people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Have a stance and stick by it, you know. And it's fine if that stance changes over time if it's being changed because you're refining it.
Yeah, new opinions.
Obviously, that's how it should be. Your moral system, and it should be a system, should get better and better and more accurate, and learn to factor in more variables and become more consistent over time.
It's more like it's Erdogan's, the prime minister of Turkey, had that quote about democracy, saying it's a fine bus to ride until you need to get off, which seems to be a lot of people's attitude toward any moral principle or political principle. It's just that this is what is useful to me to say at the time. Often the thing that happens with liberalism, if you're losing or if you're in a minority position, you will espouse liberal values, and then you take power, and all of a sudden, fuck those. No, we need to crack down on our enemies again.
It's tricky.
I might have to. I mean, I call myself a liberal in the classical sense, but nowadays it's being, that phrase is just not what it used to mean. So I might have to come up with a different term.
You have to separate it. There's liberals and there's lefties. They're two completely different things.
Yeah,
that's why I've had the distinction. It's gonna be edgy for some people, but it's a joke that Chris Rock made in the 90s that always stuck with me. It's like there's black people and there's niggers. There's two different breeds, and if you can't spot the difference, it's gonna be difficult for you. And I think lefties and liberals are the same thing now. You just really can't put them under the same umbrella. It'll create so many fucking issues for you.
Yeah, because leftists are not liberal. They're
nuts.
Often their own brand of the authoritarian, as much as they don't want to say it.
It leaves you in a really peculiar position, particularly in America, but even increasingly in this country as well, where So like in America, for example, Republican like YouTubers or like social media personalities or political commentators will glibly talk about, yeah, we have to own the libs. Like, liberals are the problem with this country. You say as the ancestors of a political party which sprung up as the liberal alternative to the Whigs. Like that is kind of the founding documents of your country are liberal, and the founding principles of your party are liberal, because liberal used to mean something very different to the way you're now using it. If you don't use that with the proper distinctions, you're in this weird position where you have to say the problem with is that liberals, they endorse all of these illiberal policies. So yeah, they do. So maybe they're not liberal. Maybe you should actually be more precise in the words you use to describe them.
I mean, if we could hook up a power generator to John Locke's coffin these days, I'm sure we could have an infinite electricity. But
spinning in the grave.
Yeah.
You know, the lefty and liberal thing. I just saw Charlie Kirk, a quote from him yesterday, saying the exact same thing that you said, Brooks.
Extremely important to have that distinguishing factor, because people just look at it and they want to throw people under one umbrella when context matters. You have to treat people case by case. You have to. It's fundamentally how humans work. And when you see the amount of people who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, a dude who got shot in the neck in front of his daughter over an opinion, versus Kimmel, a guy who lost his job, and like the difference in their reaction.
He was suspended for some crazy. He said some kind of like stuff.
Temporarily suspended is more harsh than a man literally losing his life. It just says a lot about the people.
How people freaked out about Jimmy Kimmel compared to, you know, Kirk's assassination was certainly interesting. Like I said, I've learned a lot about some people the last couple
shooting
weeks.
The guy who was a proponent for free speech was not as big of an attack on free speech as Jimmy Kimmel getting fucking suspended.
Exactly. It's crazy, man. The man wanted to have conversations. It's like, regardless of what you thought of Charlie Kirk, which side you were on, conversation is fundamentally a good thing, because even if you disagree with someone, understanding why they think that way will make you more mentally prepared for those conversations in the future. So you can at least stay calm and get your points across, and maybe we can learn something from each other. Or fuck it, just shoot him in the neck because he's on the other side. It's insane to me.
That video is going to live in my head forever.
Yeah.
He's interesting day on Twitter, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But, you know, maybe every once in a while it's good that we're sort of reminded of those sorts of things.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I hope something good comes from his death rather than just more chaos.
I hope so too. The fact that his wife forgave the shooters, like, holy shit.
That was quite important, I think. It would be very easy not to do that. And I think a lot of people
absolutely
speaking at that event had the temptation not to do that. But you also get the problem of the other siding basically 50% of the entire country, saying like, oh, they want this to happen. They are all political extremists, violent radicals. Like, the problem is not a very small radical group. The problem is the 50% of the country that are the left. So we have to go to war with half the country because they all support this happening. And actually, to the extent anyone has broken down the figures for like post celebrating the assassination, it's an incredibly small number compared to the overall thing. Obviously, there's difference by platform. The majority were condemning it, or at least not celebrating it. But the ones that everybody sees are being pushed forward by social media algorithms, which do a fantastic job of putting the most extreme minority opinion in front of you as though it's representative.
Yeah. When I go on Twitter, do you know, I feel like I have to like every piece of furry porn that I see just so that I keep the crazy, weird politics off my timeline.
Oh, man.
Bulbasaur Brutal says, Babpipin, Qui, Gurgly, Gurgle Mug.
What?
He invented the radio. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Hail
right.
Gurgle Mug.
Yeah.
Gurgle Mug.
Penny, Qui, Gurgly, Gurgle Moogie. Yeah. He invented the radio. Yeah.
Hey, Platoon, remember when we first started streaming together and we were on like Mr. Brown Alliance and that guy came in and his name was like Mr. Gurgles or something? And he was just spamming.
No, it was some bot farm attack thing. Like, I'd been burgled, and it was I don't know how he figured it, but it was like infinite numbers of chat and channels, and so you could. And then he posted compilations of channels that he'd basically hacked the chat off to his own channel, which was his undoing because it meant I could just look up the channel and say, "Hey, look, this is a violation of terms of service, so take him down." And I don't think he's been around since. But that was fun.
He came into the wrong chat because he went away relatively fast because he didn't realize that every person in that chat had a blue wrench.
Yeah, Mr. Brown gives wrenches to everyone. So it's like there's never been so many moderators to average chatters.
Yeah. Mr. Burgles.
wonder what he's doing with his incredibly sad, depressing life these days.
I don't know.
Well, has anyone checked up on Chris? Did he follow us to the next stream? Can we still
did
discuss
not.
his ideas?
He's
saw
probably in the
chat
comment
looking for
section
him.
of the last
Yeah.
stream still talking about Superman. Probably. He's going to be leaving a whole fucking load of them.
Yeah, because you need people like Chris to remind us why this work is important. Because some people just don't get it. And like,
I
this is
like
the
it.
first- yeah,
I
love
wish
when
more
that shit
people would
happens.
be like, yeah, like that in chat. And
They're important for
I
discussion.
think
'cause-
I want it. I
Yeah,
want
you
people
never-
to be
people
like,
telling us
blah,
what to-
you.
And I know you guys
More.
well enough. You would never block a guy like that ever. Let's just have discussion and exchange.
No,
ideas.
yeah.
That's it.
Bring it
Never
on.
block.
More of that. I want more of that.
Yeah.
It's boring when everyone always agrees with you.
No.
Sometimes I just feel like I gotta say something controversial or something just to get people to, just so we can have a discussion or debate something.
But it's hard. Sometimes there's just only one reasonable take to have, and if everyone has it, then people call it an echo chamber. It's like you can't escape it online,
I've seen
Yeah.
a few of those for like any movie. I think I even saw it for Superman because I've not followed much praise for Superman, but I've seen a lot of like the bad counter criticism for Superman. I'm sure I saw like a few comments when we did the EFAP one saying, "Oh, it was just a movie that they all agreed going in that they would hate for some reason, so they've just coordinated their takes, and that's why they all hate the movie." It's like, it might just be that we all watched the movie and had very similar takeaways
Exactly
because it's a
it.
shit film. But it's all to be a conspiracy. We actually do conspire behind the scenes of every stream we go on. We actually chat for 2 hours before to agree the line we're going to take.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we have to have a united front. A house divided cannot stand.
I don't get that, and I wouldn't even want that to be the case because if there is disagreements, I'd want to know why. Like if Platoon came on here and he said episode 7 was excellent of Alien Earth, I would be unbelievably fascinated. I would cling to every word. I need to hear why.
Episode 7 is excellent. I don't know what you're talking about. It's one of the best episodes of TV I've seen since The Acolyte episode 8.
Look, I'm just glad something happened. All right.
Bitch went and called her fucking alien like a fucking kitty. Like
What
I
a
just can't get over
terrible
that.
decision
It's terrible.
to have the alien be like able to be led around by this child and cyborg. What the fuck? What a terrible idea.
It's the one thing that at least Romulus had a little bit more respect for the alien than that. Like the scene with them being frozen was pretty embarrassing. Like just, oh my God, freeze the xenomorphs are just floating around. I'll take that over a pet xenomorph who's like aura farming and smiling and moonwalking and doing all sorts of stupid shit. Like this is the worst xenomorph that's ever been put.
Well, I would say this is the least aromatic aura.
That works. Aromatic. That's a good word.
Aromatic
We'll work
alien
with
that
it.
we've ever had. It's just like, hi, I'm here. What's up? It's me. I'm the alien.
But he's doing
All
so
right,
many
look
scenes
at
that
me.
are there just to be like, oh, he did the thing. Like he does the drop down that he does in Alien Isolation and Dead by Daylight, which is like a kind of iconic pose at this point. And they have a whole scene that just is like zooms into it. And it's like, okay, yeah, he did the thing. But why? It's not scary. It's not intimidating. This creature has been like, it's very difficult to make the xenomorph scary when it's been around pop culture for so long. And it all comes down to writing.
Yeah.
Writing it like this is the worst possible way. Showing it in daylight is the worst possible way.
Yes.
And making it a kitty cat that you can call with a is the worst thing they could have come up with. It's terrible.
It's not
It is
what I
bad.
would've
Also, it's
done,
very
that's for
hard to
sure.
like take it seriously as well when it's saved by the editor more times than I think a xenomorph has ever been saved by any editor. Like every single time it's chasing anyone, it's just jump cut. Oh, it's behind you. Oh, jump cut. Oh no, it's even further behind you. Oh, it should have caught. No, jump cut. It's fucking miles away again. And then the episode 7, is it episode 7? Yeah, it's the one where it attacks the
Yep.
She tells it to attack all the soldiers, and like, God, editing. It's so janky because you know that they are just doing nothing. They have to all be standing around, basically waiting for it to attack them, because they're all heavily armed with guns we know do damage to xenomorphs. But because the camera cuts so rapidly and it's so close quarters, it's trying to trick you into thinking, oh, it's so fast, it's killing all of them before they have a chance to take it out. No, it isn't. It's really not. They're just standing around waiting.
And the difference is those guys came prepared specifically for a xenomorph. They knew what they were dealing with. The Marines and Alien were like, is this another bug hunt? They had experience and good teamwork, but they didn't know what the fuck they were getting into. There's no excuse for a bunch of guys with experience and pulse rifles in broad daylight to get absolutely annihilated by an alien that jumped out of a fucking tree.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Aliens.
It's so bad.
I saw the movie. We see what happens on like a one-on-one when the alien, has is out in the open. What can happen to them? I mean, hell, if we want to say it, we've seen Romulus, as stupid as it is, how insanely impactful that one magic pulse rifle that auto aims can,
Yes.
can do to aliens. So I was
Yeah.
like, you kind of set yourself up for this not being a thing.
They're locked
happen.
into it, but they just ignore it in this
Yeah, I don't give
show.
a shit.
It's the disrespect to the xenomorph is probably worse than Romulus in this one.
It's the same stupid like plot armor combat stuff that happens in a bunch of stuff these days, where
Mhm.
people don't actually care about where people are, what are the capabilities of the weapons, what does the training entail, what's the positioning and tactics. It sucks.
The last scene has like 17 soldiers standing there fully armed and just don't shoot. Like
Yeah.
it's not even a
What I'd
joke.
do.
It's just they just on pause. There's no other explanation for it.
That's what I'd do. I mean, I'm no expert, but that's what I'd do. I'd shoot the alien.
You pull the trigger, right? Makes sense. You're trained. Your people are in danger, but they have to just stand there. And the fucking thing that drives me nuts is the sexist plot armor in Disney. Fucking ginger asshole grabs the dude's face, insta-killed. He grabs Red Reva, the black chick, and she gets flung around the entire scene and not a scratch on her. It's
Yeah.
so fucking annoying. If you're a female, there's no physical consequences for you in Disney. It's just don't even put them in action scenes. I don't know. Setting and sound design.
Yeah, I guess. And do people even still think that? Because I'm sure opinion has switched on Romulus now.
It's past 6 months, Platoon. So as
So,
soon as
yeah,
the
of
6
course it
month
has.
mark,
Yeah. I remember when that came out being told, yeah, I mean, the first half is really good. And then it goes a bit downhill at the end. It's like, no, it isn't. It's broken in the first frame of the entire show. Film even. It's the no.
I'm
the
happy to say
Nostromo
it's going
didn't
downhill.
survive.
The starting point
yeah,
was
it did
low.
go down there, but I mean, it completely like breaking the logic of the previous film in the first frame was impressive, and then it only gets worse from there. Obviously, and it's like, oh no, it only got bad because Ridley Scott intervened and insisted on his weird black Prometheus goo being present at the end, which was a terrible decision. But the
Really
movie was
goo.
dog shit well before then.
Yeah, that's just icing on the shit cake.
Mm-hmm. Anytime a movie like that forces you to pick between it and Aliens in terms of your logic, Aliens is going to win every time because it makes the scenes at the beginning of it makes the first half an hour of Alien absolutely make no sense. So you just have to ignore it at that point.
I'm happy to ignore it, even though occasionally there were adverts on Sky, whatever the fuck it is. I know Now TV, which is how I get Sky. But when Romulus went onto streaming, there were adverts saying it's the best Alien movie since the original. Like Romulus is better than Aliens, according to the people trying to plug this terrible movie.
No force in heaven or hell that would get me to admit that.
Nope.
No. Well, it's for people that are watching primarily for the aesthetic, like the people who watch Jurassic World movies for the dinosaurs. They don't see the difference between Jurassic Park 1 and Jurassic World Dominion.
Some of them do, but you have to press them, and then when you press them, they sort of say, "Yeah, okay, but I'm not going to elaborate." Because I did this when I did the Dominion video, and had a bunch of people saying, "Oh, it's only a popcorn movie, and it's about dinosaurs. Why are you expecting it to be good?" And I said, "Well, because the original was really good." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's still just a dinosaur blockbuster." So, yeah, but do you accept that there's a difference in quality between Jurassic Park and Jurassic World Dominion? Yes. Okay. Why? No response.
Exactly. And when people say popcorn movie, I just cringe because I just think that doesn't mean it has to be shit. Yeah, you took it out of my mouth. Jaws is a popcorn movies
can be
movie.
good. Yeah,
they can be fantastic. One of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, like I fucking love popcorn movies, and I mean, well, when I guess you had it with Dominion after Rebirth came out. I was recently, I'd recently been unbanned from Twitter, and I was talking about it a little bit, and in my timeline, it feeds you things that you engage with, and I was reading a bunch of people. Lots of like pro Jurassic World people who were talking about the movie, and the discourse was essentially it was actually, I don't mean this necessarily in a bad way, but it was like listening to a bunch of children talk about how cool their dinosaur toys are.
Yeah.
Not to like super belittle that, as long as you're self-aware about it, but like
accurate,
everyone was just talking about, I can't this dinosaur, that dinosaur, which dinosaur from this movie would beat this dinosaur from this movie in a fight, and wow, this scene was so good because of the dinosaur, and it looks so good, this dinosaur. All the discourse that I had been clued into surrounding that movie, and literally zero discussion on like the plot or the characters. It was as if those aspects of the film did not exist. They were literally these superfluous vestigial elements of films that are only existing to convey a narrative excuse to have dinosaurs walking around.
And those conversations could happen if those same dinosaurs were in any other dinosaur movie. It doesn't have to be Jurassic Park. It doesn't have to be Jurassic World. It is just seeing cool monster on screen. And then you get to have fun with your power scaling stuff, or you get to have fun, like you say, being like the child playing with your toys. And it's all right, but then you're not talking about the movie, and the movie hasn't really inspired this. It is just you saw a thing on screen, and that's what you're interested in. Okay, fair enough. But then don't tell me it's a good film, because nothing you're saying tells me anything about the movie at all. It reminds me a lot of the Monsterverse fans. I love bitching about the Monsterverse fans because they're fucking retarded. But they do exactly the same thing, which is like, okay, what about, like, which character did you like in Godzilla X Kong? Like, I don't know. But it wasn't it cool when Godzilla suplexed Kong off a pyramid? It's like,
Super
okay.
glad to get it right.
It's the rule of cool, man.
I'm glad that -1 exists, because that has
Yes.
insanely cool Godzilla stuff, and also the film is like stellar and awesome, and it's got great characters and awesome
really good.
themes and a pretty logical plot. And I was like, man, I fucking love that movie so much.
I'm glad the way you
it
phrased
exists so I
that.
can point it to.
Don't
I'm
ever
really glad.
try and bring it up to Monsterverse fans, though, because I did this in my video. I was like, I specifically said I'm not even going to bother comparing them because they are just so incomparably different in terms of quality. But I still got a load of people saying, why? Of course you'd compare that one to this one. Loads of tourists entering the Godzilla fandom because -1 was good. So,
Yeah,
of course I'm a tourist in your
Fucking
shit
morons,
franchise, because
idiots.
all the rest of the movies are garbage. That one's
I don't want to.
really
I don't have materials. I don't want to live here. Of course, I'm
I'm
a
just
tourist.
visiting, bro.
I'm gonna go back home once.
But I like the way you phrase that, Regs, because it's an important distinction. I'm glad this exists because you need it to exist so we have a point of comparison. It's really, really important. Same thing with like Andor. Andor existing, thank God. So we have something to point at to compare it to Boba Fett and Ahsoka and whatnot, because you can do it this way.
I saw
You know what I mean?
We saw solid stuff. There we go.
Yeah, because again, -1 is easily the best Godzilla movie. Even as someone who hasn't, I'm not familiar with all of them, but like in terms of a quality film, going into a monster movie and getting such a fantastic family drama, nobody saw that coming. There's people like crying in my theater that were so affected by it.
I was like a fucking baby.
And I remember towards the end being like, holy shit, I'm so fucking invested in these guys pulling off. It's not just, oh, I want to see Godzilla smash things. He was a legit like antagonist by the end. I wanted to see these humans pull it off and figure out a way to get past this fucking monster. And him being a force of nature rather than some goober, they just nailed it. And the fact that that can exist in the same world that Godzilla versus Kong exists and they both get praised is not right, man.
It's very clear that when it comes to stuff like this, the reason that I like a Godzilla movie is completely different from why many other people apparently like a Godzilla movie.
Yes.
You can apply that to Terminator, you can apply that to Predator,
Alien,
you can apply that to
and,
all the
Predator,
big franchises that rely on a really cool
Star Wars
process.
See, that's the thing. Like when I was a kid, I grew up on the Godzilla movies and like horror flicks. So I do have an affinity for them, like nostalgia wise. But I can see the fucking difference, man. Like Godzilla -1 was a fantastic movie. Godzilla is, and even Godzilla X Kong. There's if you don't want to compare the two, you can compare it to Godzilla versus Kong. That was still a better fucking movie than Godzilla X Kong or whatever you want to call it. I don't even remember Godzilla X Kong bullshit machine device.
The New Empire, I think it was called.
The New Empire. Oh,
which is funny because there's no empire in it at all. Don't know what it was talking about. The title doesn't reference anything in the film. No one's making an empire. There isn't an old one. There isn't a new one. It's just stupid, dumb monsters fighting each other. And in completely artless ways, because like, even if you're into big monster fights, fair enough. Lots of people are into that shit. Some people here like wrestling. I don't understand it, but I guess people like it. But it's just so badly done. If you want to impress upon people that the immense scale of these giant monsters, for example, you don't put them in like surrounded by equally giant things because it just makes them seem normal sized and redundant and like tedious. There's no sense of scale in these movies because they don't really care about trying to impress you. They take in your pre-existing love for giant monsters and say, well, it doesn't really matter if they're giant. We can have them fly if we want to. Look, there's no gravity anymore. Look, suplex off a pyramid. Don't you like this? It's like, no, fine if you like that kind of thing, but you could still have, even like divorced from story and context, you could have a better version of giant monsters fighting each other. There have been better versions of giant monsters fighting each other.
There's much more you can do with it. Like even with the Jurassic movies, I can give you a pass if you're someone who's just really into paleontology and you're just there to see dinosaurs on screen. Like, as long as you're honest about it and you're not saying it's a great film, you just enjoy it for the personal reasons that you enjoy it. There's not a lot of room for that in the multiverse, in the Monsterverse stuff, though. It's just kind of just nonsense. And if you can't see the difference between it and -1, it's really hard to have a conversation with you. It's so clear.
Yeah, we're just speaking different languages at that point.
At that point, there's just not much I can do. And that is the case because you realize over time, like, shit, we are speaking different languages for a lot of things. Like I mentioned this earlier, like Arcane. When people discuss Arcane and the first thing they want to praise is the animation, I love the animation, but it's the character work and the writing that made it so fantastic.
It's fair if it's the first thing you praise because it's an aesthetic and we're very visual creatures. It's just
if it's the main thing they praise.
If that's what you just keep praising over and over and over, it's like well, on that we're in agreement. It looks absolutely gorgeous, excellent. But there's a reason why we're still talking about it. At least the first season.
Yeah. What a fall from quality, man.
It is the biggest drop in quality of anything that we have covered.
From
I
season
don't even
to
know
season,
what would compare.
From season to season, I don't think there's a better example, really, because Arcane season 1, because we kind of had a similar experience of like not like you didn't play League, right, Rex? But you like just from looking at it, it just didn't really appeal to me, especially. And I'm someone who.
Oh, I mean, its reputation precedes it.
Yeah. For me, it was unique because I specifically hated all the characters from League in Arcane. I'm like, how am I going to watch a show with these assholes? I hate you all. And then the fact that they can make that work is such an achievement for me. And it just all comes down to the writing. But Arcane is one of those ones that highlights that a lot of people will look at things and they're going to like them for different reasons. And you don't realize it until something like season 2 happens.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll be fortunate enough to get a Deadlock show and Valve can maybe raise the bar again. We'll see.
They're still moving ahead with the Noxus spin-off, aren't they? For Arcane.
As far as I know.
League of Legends. I don't know when that's
I won't give
coming out.
I won't give a single shit about
Hype
it.
is done. They rushed season 2 so they could do spin-off bullshit of other things, but you have to finish the core story for me to care and want more.
Yeah.
You fucked this so hard. Vi, holy fuck. She's not even the worst. Heimerdinger might be the worst, or some others I'm forgetting, but what they did to Vi pisses me off to the point where I haven't even reviewed season 2. I'm just annoyed to this day when I think about it. I haven't rewatched it. I fucking hate season 2. I despise it.
I started reviewing it, and I think I've done. I think I did the first 3 episodes. They're all fully edited, but it came to about 4.5 hours, and it's like I'm not actually sure I want to do. And I mean, fucking Mortar's doing a 15-hour plus Outlaws video, but I'm not entirely sure I want to.
He's a madman.
He's insane.
Absolute
not sure
madman.
I want to do 9+ on Arcane season 2. I might still return to it over long periods of time, but
it's fucking crazy.
Or maybe even just like a tier list discussion of like the characters that were best in season 1 and like which ones were ruined in season 2 or something.
Well, didn't Random
Random
did one of those, didn't he? I think Rags, you were on it. He did a character tier list.
He did, yes.
Yeah,
we did a on Random second channel, Random Film Talk second channel. He and I did a tier list for all the Arcane characters. We did season 1 tier list, and then we did all right. Now we're gonna do the tier list factoring in season 2. And the before and after of those tier lists was staggering. The drop off. I think it ended up being that the best character in the show was, I think Marcus ended up being the best character. Yeah,
because he dies. Because he dies.
Yeah, because he's dead. Which didn't save Silco, by the way, which still isn't even enough because they hurt Silco.
Oh, fucking hell! You're so right.
Because he was at the top of the list. I think we put him at the very top of S tier, top of in perfect. I think we kind of were like, yep.
His flashback just shat all over him. It doesn't even make sense based on where him and Vander were at that point, and it made him look like a fucking goober. Marcus stayed dead. Therefore, he stayed dead.
Quality. He stayed perfect. Yes, he stayed a perfectly executed version of that character. He's safe. Marcus is safe. But it was like him and like the top 2 characters, I think, were Marcus and Grayson. Were the because they died and weren't ruined.
It's like it's fucking Thrones all over again. The characters who died and escaped the bullshit are the ones who still good. Yeah. Anyone who's still alive is crap. Because I think season 8, I think Brienne is the only one who didn't get obliterated, and Arcane, I think maybe like Echo. Is he the one surviving cast member who's not dumped on?
Echo got fucked. Echo got absolutely fucked.
Did he? In the flashback.
Remember in the crazy bad writing universe he went to and all that stuff? Echo got absolutely fucked.
And they want us to love Jinx. They fucking love that bitch, even though she's a psychopath. And then she lives in the end.
Gets away with it. Yeah, she gets away with it.
She'll be back. She'll be back in one of the spin-offs as well, because they did the whole Reichenbach Falls thing. And then virtually the last scene of season 2 pretty much confirms she's still alive. And because they understand that Jinx was incredibly popular when she was well written, they will bring her in to the Noxus show or to one other show coming forward. Like she's going to return, and it's going to be if anyone even bothers to watch it, it's going to be horrible because this is just not the same character.
She's Ahsoka. She's just gonna pop up in everything and just be there with the little baby.
But it's sometimes she just
She
dies
is.
off screen between season 1 and season 2 and then reemerges as not a person and then continues to be not a person for the majority of that show. And then she decides, well, I might go and kill myself. And so Vi goes and bangs her twin.
Yeah.
And then
Her
Gotta
twin.
She gotta go stop
Why
and
did you
fucking.
Why did you call Kate her
disgusting.
twin?
they've got long blue hair. They're basically the same. It's just the
What?
closest thing to a twin you can get.
That's such a gay man's opinion. Like all these women, their hair's kind of
They
the
all
same
look the
color,
same.
basically the same.
She's
Caitlyn
the
and Vi
most
are so
you're not
different.
beating the
Jinx-looking
allegations.
character in the show. Of
They're
course,
so
Vi went
different.
and fucked her.
The gayest thing you've ever
And
said.
the,
Caitlyn and Vi are
the
so
prison
different.
cell of her sister who is committing suicide.
Yeah, for anyone who's not aware, holy fucking hell. Vi cares about Jinx to a degree that I shouldn't even have to elaborate on. And when Jinx is potentially slitting her wrist and killing herself, Vi, instead of chasing after her sister, stops to eat Caitlyn's ass because that is priority. And that's all they fucking cared about because they turned it into a shipping thing when Vi and Caitlyn in season 1 was fantastic. That is how you do sexual tension in a way that is actually significant and, meaningful. I cared about their relationship and they made it a fucking joke in season 2, just shipping bullshit. It was as bad as Raylo. It really was. The shippers just
No,
ruined
it's so
everything.
much worse than Raylo because at least they were characters to ruin in Arcane, whereas Raylo was just, well, neither of you are people in the first place, so fuck it, why
Yeah,
not
true.
kiss? Who cares?
Look, eating Caitlyn's
Chat's
ass
going
is
crazy, man.
it's not the worst decision anyone could make. But when your baby sister is like potentially killing herself, can you like fucking hold off?
Maybe
on
that's
the
something they're
ass eating?
into. Maybe
Oh,
that's like
God.
maybe that's what made it more appealing. It's like, yeah, she's gonna
She
fucking
stopped
kill
to catch her
herself.
breath to think about Jinx, takes her mouth out of the fucking ass, and then goes back in. Like, I just don't need to see that scene.
Yeah,
And it lasted
yeah.
way too long as well.
You gotta catch your breath.
Mm.
You want to stay in there too long.
Couple of supers came in. Hang on. Bulbasaur Brutal says Alien Cooch Co.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much.
That's how you talk to them.
Coochie coo. That's what he's trying to say.
Oh.
Because that's basically her calling the alien, the xenomorph.
Black Mage 9 Brooks Cynic thoughts on the PLEs this weekend.
What's that?
What is a PLE?
I know what it is. It's a premium live event for WWE and AEW, which is pro
Oh.
wrestling stuff.
I think I need to clarify. I was a '90s attitude baby. I've watched wrestling growing up, but I'm not.
I was
still...
too, but when I went full time on YouTube, I had a lot of extra time on my hands, and I started watching like Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast interviews, and then it got me to just check out what was currently going on. And at the time, the new product was really hot, so I still watch it. Like I'm all in, but the product fucking sucks right now. So if you want to know what the PLE is like this weekend, WWE's WrestlePalooza, the gayest name I've ever heard.
WrestlePalooza is a pretty gay name. It's like
pretty gay.
Platoon came up with it.
It sucked. It was bad PLE. It didn't live up to the hype because they were saying it was supposed to be like WrestleMania 2.0. The fuck it was. It was lame. Every match was just kind of ass. But
you as a wrestling fan, I bet you can explain the appeal of wrestling better than the multiverse fans or the Monsterverse fans gonna explain the appeal.
So simple. It's the simplest explanation of why wrestling is fun is the drama. If you were walking by, I'll use Jim Cornette's. He's a old wrestling promoter. I'll use his explanation. If you were walking by and two people were fighting and it was a little guy and a giant guy and the little guy was getting his ass kicked and you saw him pick up something and just start beating the fucking piss out of the big guy, you'd be like, fuck yes, go, go, go. You're rooting for the underdog. It's underdog stuff. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to see them, the good guy beat the bad guy. It's the most simplistic storytelling, but besides the storytelling, it's a men's soap opera.
Yeah,
with incredible athletics. You know, it
was soap opera for males mixed with the Daredevil aspect of it. Because for me, I was like, yeah, wrestling is fake, but there's certain aspects of this that you cannot fake, and there's still a risk. I don't care how many times you practice it. A dude jumping off a ladder 30 times onto his fucking head is usually going to be pretty intense. The people, it's the wrestlers that had the ability to maintain that immersion, even though it's fake. That's where the money came in, and the performers. But as a whole, it's a hard thing to explain the appeal to. But there's a reason why gimmicks like The Undertaker and whatnot, you understand these things even if you've never watched a minute of wrestling, because it just works, you know?
Yeah, it's the most simplistic way of telling a story, so that anyone can step in and start watching it, and it clicks with you. Well, or it probably doesn't. But if it does, you'll get it pretty fast.
There's no middle ground at wrestling. I agree with that. And so yeah, people know that.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. You aren't going to go and bitch at the people who don't like wrestling as if they're wrong or stupid. No. The Monsterverse people do that. The Acolyte people do that. There's this different mentality when it comes to defending crap versus something that we know is niche, you know, and you need to be honest about it.
Yeah, the Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk Hell in a Cell match was definitely the match of the year last year. That was actually when the product was still good too. And like, it is fake, it's staged and everything, but they really do get the shit kicked out of each other because like they pull punches, they pull kicks, but you can't fake a slam. You can't fake the blood. They really are bleeding. They'll cut themselves like in the middle of, they'll disguise it and cut themselves in the middle of the match, but it's real blood. It's real. It is like, there are aspects of it that are obviously real that you cannot, you just can't fake it. Hang on, another super came in from Bulbasaur again. Bulbasaur Brutal. I remember being like 3, seeing Alien on VHS. First thing I ever saw on Alien was Kane with the facehugger on his face. Thought it was how it began.
I feel like so many people, the imagery of the facehugger or the chest burst they've seen that before they've even seen Alien because it's such a part of pop culture.
Super iconic.
It's
one of those things you wish you could kind of go back in time and see.
Yeah.
Without any context. Like, seeing Star Wars in 1977 or seeing the Fellowship of the Ring or
with nothing.
I mean, Jaws, a lot of stuff. Yeah. When you don't have the context of these monsters existing and, culture and knowing what to expect and, actually being like surprised that Ripley is the one who lived. And, it would be really neat to be able to do that.
Yeah. Like watching Alien and Terminator after seeing the second one, it takes some of it away. Like it'd really be nice to get the first impression for a lot of those films, and that's why it's important for parents to have physical media so your kids can go and see the old stuff. That's how I grew up, watching the VHS shelf. You can just
it would just take like time traveling and a partial lobotomy to get the kind of experience that a lot of people kind of did to see it truly for the first time when it really was new, when you really didn't know what to expect, when it really was groundbreaking, before it became a trope, justified or otherwise.
Yeah,
before it became like solidified in culture.
Even then, a lot of them hold their power. I mean, we'll never get the experience of watching them for the first time again. But the frustrating thing about, say, like the Jurassic franchise, when they keep trying to reprise the theme of everybody is bored of dinosaurs, is I can still go back and rewatch the original, and it might not be the same as watching it for the first time, but the original still has a lot of the power that it had. The story is still excellent. The visuals are still great. The drama is still really, really moving and affecting, and that will never go away. So, evidently, it's not just a first-time nostalgia goggles thing that makes these things popular. I can still go and rewatch Jaws with much the same effect. Just an excellent movie. And if we're also bored of it, why do we still love those so much? It might be that, okay, maybe we do need to try the occasional new thing, but before you try the occasional new thing, at least make sure you understand what makes the original work.
Yeah.
Try and recapture that first and then add a new twist on it. Don't try and completely tear up the rule book without any idea of what to replace it with and with no understanding of what made that thing effective to begin with.
Yeah, if you think
the reasons why making a good parody is so respectable, because to make a good parody of something, it often requires a real understanding of what it is you are parodying. So you can respect someone who can, poke fun at something and truly deconstruct something before that word got fucking ruined.
Well, the same thing goes for adaptation, right? Because some adaptations are even more impressive when you're familiar with the work. When I first watched Blind Manor, I was just like, what the I know this. This is weird. Because I recently, right before that, I watched The Innocents, which is a horror movie from 1957, which is the base premise for Blind Manor is based off of. So I went into Blind Manor being like, this is so weird. I know this story. I've seen this somewhere. But then once I go and I see what they did with that baseline story, it's even more impressive. They had a fundamental understanding for what made it work, and then they expanded on it in a way that was just incredible. So watching The Innocents after watching Blind Manor, if you're a fan of that, it'll make you even respect Blind Manor even more, because they took this and did so much more with it. you know, while still respecting what was there. So yeah, there's a way to do it, and there's a way to just shit the bed. So I completely agree on that.
Yeah, there's essentially an infinite amount of permutations on pretty much every concept.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of executing them well. I mean, how many times have we seen, ooh, spooky monster in a spaceship? What'll have, you know, but like there's so
Haunted
many different
house.
ways to make that an interest. Yeah, there's a haunted house, or ooh, there's a curse, or a vampire, or a werewolf, and
A witch.
I mean, it's like everything from 30 Days of Night to Daybreakers is a totally different movies in almost every way. So,
But this is the thing, though. You can show me a prince who wants to save a queen from a dragon. I'm down. Just write it well. It's just you don't need to. You don't need a fancy, crazy premise. Some of the best movies of all time are very simple premises. Fucking Lord of the Rings is a journey to destroy a piece of jewelry. You don't need this
how
crazy.
many like variations on the hero's journey there have been, like so many stories and movies which use essentially the same plot structure, but because the thing that makes these endlessly repeatable and endlessly fascinating is that the story can be as varied as your human characters are. This is the thing that a lot of like Monsterverse movies miss, or Alien movies miss, or anything like that. It's not actually about the monster. It is about the characters and the humans interacting with the monster. Godzilla -1 works really well because we've never seen these characters who are really well drawn respond to this external threat in this way before. And humans are pretty, you know, about as close as we can get in our imagination to infinitely varied. There's lots of us that everyone has different lives. You can create many, many different types of characters, none of whom will react to the same thing in the same way, which allows you to retell the same story again, the same story in terms of its plot structure, and create something which feels so very, very different. Because like the Japanese war veterans in Godzilla -1 are not the same as Chief Brody in Jaws, even though those movies are structurally very similar.
Yeah. But I just think fuck, the hell was I gonna say? Go ahead, Cynic. I totally forgot my thought.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
No, I
was
had something. I
stretching.
completely blanked on it for a second.
Shit, I'll go back to talking about wrestling. Don't get me started.
No. Get out of there. Oh shit.
Well, I don't know, boys. You want to wrap it up here or what? We got an hour in.
Yeah, sure. I don't,
do
you know,
that.
it's your show and format. I'm not familiar how long you guys go, or if you try to.
We just kind of go. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well, considering I completely forgot what I was about to say, yeah, it might be a good time to wrap it up. I just totally.
I know
these things will
Platoon's
sometimes go
dying.
for an hour, and then but if someone pisses Jedi Brooks off in terms of Game of Thrones, we might go for 3 hours. Or if we start arguing about steak, then it might be 4.
Well, it's just casual. We're just chilling, right? So
Yeah.
if it's a good time to wrap up, we can do it.
No, I got. You know what? Now that I'm on pro wrestling, I got pro wrestling to watch. Raw's on. Gotta go watch Raw. Yeah. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here for today, everybody. But we will see you next week on BSUP. And of course, the super chat came in. HD Warrior is Cassian Andor the best Star Wars protagonist after Luke, considering the incorrigible competition. I think he's better than PT Anakin, also Hyrax.
Hello. Is Cassian the best? By the way, Cassian Andor has more screen time than any other live action Star Wars character.
Does he?
Interesting.
He does now, yeah.
It's crazy how these things accumulate. You don't really think about it in terms of limited screen time in movies.
Yeah. Do you know who it is for Star Trek?
Ooh.
Platoon?
No. Fuck. Worf? Riker? TNG, right?
No, you were right. It's Worf. Yeah, you're right. What was the super chat?
Right. Yeah, let me find it again. Is he the best protagonist after Luke, considering the incorrigible competition?
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking, I mean, it shouldn't be that controversial to say that he actually gives Luke a running for the best. Cassian's got a lot going on. He's got a lot of time to be complex. And I think that, I mean, Luke is not in a bad way, but he's a lot more simplistic in that sense. But
it's a very basic arc. Cassian's definitely a more complex character. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it probably protagonist. I mean, if you're talking about, I mean, who would the protagonist essentially be apart from the? I mean, the movies would be like Luke, Anakin,
Ray.
So obviously, of that selection, he's.
Does Obi-Wan count in the prequels?
It's not unreasonable
I still say Luke.
To say
I still say
that.
Luke. The POV character is Luke. He's a secondary or deuteragonist or whatever you fuck you want to call it.
I know, but I'm thinking in the prequels because it's roughly. I mean, they are deuteragonists. Anakin and Obi-Wan both sort of fill the protagonist role at various points.
Qui-Gon. I'd say it's Qui-Gon and then
Mm.
Anakin.
Yeah, but Qui-Gon isn't the
Qui-
protagonist.
Qui-Gon?
Is he the
He's the
protagonist?
protagonist in Phantom Menace,
He-
100%. He's the POV point.
He's. You could make an argument. I don't know who else would it be.
That's why I paused, because I was thinking it can't be Qui-Gon. But then actually, yeah, who else? I mean, it's not Anakin. We don't meet
Probably.
until halfway through the movie.
Obi-Wan's in the ship half the damn film, so it
he
has
just
to be
spends all the
Qui-Gon.
time bitching in the ship, so he's not the
Yeah.
protagonist.
They fucked that up. We really needed to see their relationship and even the dynamic with him and Anakin. They just skipped all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The funny thing with Cassian is that like he is technically the protagonist. Does he have the most? I assume he has the most screen time of any character in the show, but he's still not the person I think of first when I think characters in Andor, even though the show's named after him. I like him, and I like what they did, and I think he's a really interesting, complex character. But there's no moment I don't think the Cassian has that really stands out to me as being the absolute best of what that show was. Because my mind like goes way more quickly to Luthen, and even Partagaz stands out to me more than Cassian Andor does. And I think it's because he has to spend a lot of his time being quite muted, especially through season 1, because it's not like time for him to ascend at that point. And he can't reach his realization yet, because obviously it has to go through to Rogue One for that to happen. So they have this really difficult job of trying to elongate effectively an incomplete story for him. We know where the story goes, and it can't end in this show. They do a lot of really interesting stuff with him, but the other characters who have more complete journeys, I think, just stand out to me more than he does. And we don't ever get to see what we might have seen had the show gone for more seasons, which is him playing these different roles as he sort of mimics Luthen as he becomes more of the proper professional operative. You get the glimpse of it when he sort of mimics Luthen in season 2. But I like him a lot, but I don't know. Luke stands out more for like the optimism, I guess, and the completeness of the arc over Cassian.
Yeah.
So everything that you just said in terms of like the things you can theorize for his potential, can you do the same thing with Ahsoka and Sabine? Like, there's just nothing.
No,
That's
it's
what
not
I'm
even
saying.
fucking
It's
close.
It's kind of interesting to compare those.
Yeah, it would be absurd. It's wild.
That show. Ugh.
User 5573 asks, how many supers before Cynic loses his sanity? I can stay here all night if you guys just want to send me money. Yeah.
Well, it did come back to me eventually. It's just one thing I wanted to add when we were talking about the discussion. It's part of the reason I'm not a big fan of the phrase superhero fatigue. It always comes down to writing. Like, the idea of an empowered person is something that will always be interesting if done well. But we're trapped in this DC Marvel cycle where people associate superheroes with bad writing. So if we had a break from that and we got back to interesting concepts, I think it could be really well done, because I think me and Platoon were mentioning how Superman sucked. Supergirl's probably going to be mildly better but make less money. And then the one that will probably be successful is the one, the Swamp Thing or Clayface or whatever it is, the one that nobody cares about, the one that has a lower budget. So we might get an Andor situation where we actually get quality there. But that's usually what it comes down to. It's so frustrating. When there's a lot of eyes on a project, it's going to turn out shit because there's too many cooks in the kitchen. But sometimes we get something like Andor where you can easily see the potential there. But I don't know if we're going to get that anytime soon with this whole James Gunn thing and Marvel stuck in this doomsday.
This
plot.
nostalgia trap is what it is.
Yes, that's the word for it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah.
Well, all right, guys. We will catch you next week. Rags, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
You know where to find me.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Doodaloo.
Fuck you.